Welcome back to the 7th grade Mustache. On today's episode, we'll be speaking about familiars. Familiars are the type of people that are leeches of power, the hangers-on. They are the people who associate themselves with darkness for the sake of personal gain. I'm not talking about people that you see in a clique, a musician's group or whatever, and the people that are on their fringes. No, I am talking about the people that do the bidding of darkness, but yet they have a familiar face, one you recognize and one you trust. I got to say, what sparked this conversation is a music video, and I'm not going to name the singer. I'm not going to name the music video because at this point it doesn't matter, because you see these same images in music videos everywhere now. The part that pisses me off, though, is that it's black people doing the bidding of darkness. And so there's this music video out that's circulating, and it's full on nudity, which is fine. I mean, look, everybody likes ass and titties, women shaking their ass and, showing their titties. No problem. We go to strip clubs. I have no problem with that. I go to strip clubs. But look, the thing is this. When I was watching this video, the video is clearly done for shock and awe, and it's style over substance, clearly. The first thing that I thought about when I watched this video is that, well, when you don't play instruments, that's what you got. And
that's Prince. That sounds like Prince's take. Remember what Prince? Beyonce's a good performer, but can she create? Is she a musician? Yeah. We'll just different conversation, but it's just funny that that's your first take. That when you have a little bit of talent.
No, not a little bit. No, in this example, we're not talking about Beyonce. Beyonce has talent. That's not fair to say that to her about her like that. She has talent.
Oh no. Oh, okay. There's two people that made the comment. The first was Prince. When they asked Prince, he's like, "Well, she's a musician." And then they asked Ray Charles, and Ray Charles said something similar. But again, that's not what we're talking about. We'll discuss that for later time.
Ray Charles can't see what the fuck she look like anyway, so he's gonna go based off of what he hears.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not the right person to ask in that circumstance. Look, man, this video is a lot like many videos that we see, and I see this Baphomet subconscious imagery in there. And when I see this video, it made me feel uneasy because what it felt like, at first I could not put my finger on it exactly, but it made me feel uneasy. And it gave me the same mindset of when white colonizers and European quote unquote explorers were going to Africa in the late 1700s and early 1800s and photographing tribes, and in particular black women. And they will look for black women with the biggest asses, the biggest lips, and the biggest titties, right? The ones that look like these African fertility dolls.
Yeah. You remember that they even took one of them they took one of these ladies to France and they paraded her around.
Correct.
We talked about it in the other podcasts. That's where the bustle came from. Remember the bustle where women had a dress and they had a it was an imitation fake butt is what it was.
Of course.
White women have had fake butts for years. That just tells you that trend, but it's all based on the appearance of black women. But,
look.
Yeah, Spanx. Oh, yeah. They, I can't think of the woman's name. I'll look it up in a minute online, but continue your conversation.
So the problem is that this is not celebrating sexuality at all. It is not celebrating the splendor of the African woman's form and sexual power. This is 100% exploitation. And I'm looking at this, and it looked like a Skinamax softcore porn, and that was kind of making a mockery. It looked like what it looked like, and it's funny because I've talked with like a lot of black actors that have worked on shows and in movies. And they tell me that in the writers' room, there's a lot of like Jewish guys and white guys that think they know black culture. And you saw this in the movie, the Robert Townsend's movie, Hollywood Shuffle.
Yeah.
And it's when that white director told Robert Townsend, just stick your ass out and stick your lips out and to look more black. And, you know, there's a lot of Jewish guys in these writing rooms and a lot of white dudes with Harvard degrees in these writing rooms. And they think they know the intricacies of the black psyche and black culture. And what you start to get is this distorted machination of what a black person is. So when I was watching this video, it had the vibe of two Jewish guys made a hip-hop video of what they think black female sexuality should look like, but the most gross and distorted version of it. And I don't even know if a black person directed this, but if this black person did direct this, or if a black person did direct this, then that person is in the sunken place, in the deepest part of the sunken place.
Look, when we first talked about it, we got much deeper. First, I wonder, the woman's name was Sarah Bartman. She was the black enslaved woman that was paraded around in France in like I guess 1700s. Or 1800s.
That was her colonial name.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to find her actual birth name. I can't seem to find it. So, but Sarah Bartman, if you Google her, she'll pop up. Big ass, big titties, short hair. But here's a real point. When we were talking about this conversation, we both said this video made us uneasy. I'm like, I told you, I said, hey, Roscoe, I can't even sit through the whole thing. And I used to shoot, big booty videos about pools and shit. It's not the content. There's something about the context that fucks with you. The poor lighting.
There is no light. Listen, I'm a classically trained cinematographer. I shot music videos, still shoot movies. And when I watch that video, there's no lighting. There's just a camera following naked women around doing this Cirque du Soleil bamboozle buffoonery type shit.
And like I said, the reason it made us uneasy is because it felt like what you said, it felt like a psyop. And like I said, we were having this conversation, and the reason we brought this up, we had just spoke 3 days ago, and we had talked about Malcolm X being offered $6 million by the CIA back in the 60s. And it's just crazy because we know about his problems with the FBI, but the CIA was more about infiltration of the Nation of Islam. They wanted him to talk about the Nation of Islam. He said, look, I might not be with them anymore. But then we talk about the other one I sent you. It was the white woman. You always see her in the picture with the black woman with her fist up in the 60s. I can't think of her name, and don't want to make her famous.
Hold on. Let's pause that. Hold on to that for a second. Got to go back to Malcolm X. Because yes. The title of the show is Familiars. And what the CIA was attempting to do was create one of the spies that Sun Tzu mentions. And Sun Tzu mentions 5 types of spies in the art of war. The first is an local spy. The second is an inward spy. The third is a converted spy. The fourth is a doomed spy. And the fifth is a surviving spy. Now, in the case of Malcolm X, they were hoping to have a converted spy. Yes. Somebody that they could manipulate on an ideological level and use what they call one of 4 things in mice: money, intrigue, compromise, or ego.
Now, here are 2 more for those who are going to listen to this and want to look up what we're talking about. The one I didn't want to say, but her name is Gloria Steinem. You see a bunch
Gloria Steinem. She started the feminist movement in America.
Yeah, but she also infiltrated the Black Power movement and separated our women from us, and said that we were super macho. The other one
But
is Richard
wait.
Ayoki.
Gloria Steinem admits that she worked for the CIA
Yeah,
before she even was a feminist.
yes, yes. The other one you need to look up is Richard Ayoki. He infiltrated the Black Panther Party, but he was a spy for the FBI. Um, but like I said, the reason we brought up Malcolm was not a familiar. He refused it. Um, the reason we're talking about this video is because it doesn't feel like a regular hip hop video. It feels like somebody feeding something down our throat.
That's exactly what
And
it feels like. It feels like a psyop. This feels like a psyop. You know what I got when I saw that? At first, I thought about Gloria Steinem and the fact that she was a CIA agent creating derision. And this felt like a form of derision, but on a sexual revolution type of level. Now, if you can infiltrate a family and you have young girls wanting to be like these lewd women that they see, like these familiars they see in these videos, like Doja Cat. Doja Cat is an MK Ultra sex pot, but we'll come back to that later. So here's the thing. When you have little girls in a family start doing this and the parents don't approve, it creates a split. They are planting the seeds of holes into the minds of babies.
the reason this is so important is because hip hop was just the opposite of that. You know, we kind of had a half-assed talk, but we had a more important talk off air. When Jada Kiss said there's no balance in hip hop, when you hear people like Raekwon saying there's no balance, what they're saying is that hip hop was a musical movement, and you had good time music, but then you also had the Public Enemies and all these other ones. But you had Paris, Intelligent Hoodlum, BDP. You had all these intelligent rappers also putting out intelligent content in hip hop. You know, look at my generation who in the hip hop we grew up on. Why do you think we're so fight the power, not dealing with this? You know, you're not going to get something over on me. This is a conspiracy. And then you got these young kids now who are straight up, yeah, LBGQ, which I have no problem with anybody being that way. But what I'm saying is they're more worried about that movement than their actual place in society and how they're being treated. True, you should not discriminate against somebody because of their sexual orientation, but you shouldn't be killing me because I'm black either. You know, the difference between in '93.
But hold on a second, stop. I gotta interject something here because gay people have not done anything to forward the cause of black people. When they, when they're, no, because when they are waving that flag, look, when I say that, I'm not talking about the people who were involved in the March on Washington.
Yes,
I'm not talking about that.
Yep.
I'm talking about the people who are like jumping up and down and like talking about how happy they are to be gay and all that stuff. That's cool. But you're doing that as a gay person because you don't represent the black America when you do that. You're not doing anything to forward the cause of black people. And hold on. I'm going to make it granular because you are not doing anything to get laws passed to help the cause of black people. All you are doing when you are pushing that cause is supporting the cause of that spectrum of gay people.
Look. When you people yell Black Lives Matter as a concept, we agree. But as in the movement, but as the organization, no.
Even now, that call really is empty because the foundations of that movement is fraudulent.
Well, hold it. The bottom line is this. We've been pushing for an anti-lynching law for 27 years. But we get this white guy in office, Biden, who swears him down, he's for us. We don't get the anti-lynching law, but we get Juneteenth. Well, we don't get the anti-lynching law, but we get Asian Pacific Islander degradation laws. We don't get what we need, but everybody else piggybacks their struggle off ours. That's the problem. But that's not what we're here for. Let's talk about this familiar thing. When we're saying familiar, we use that in the vampire term. If you grew up on vampire movies, they had a thing called a ghoul or familiar. He's a half-ass vampire who wants to be a vampire, but he's the one who runs the errands during the day, who cleans the caskets.
He's a vampire cuckold.
Yeah, he wipes the vampire's ass and shit. just to make sure that shit is cool. So the reason, when we say familiar, we're talking about a black person or an in-between person who's
in the movie Blade,
transition.
the first Blade movie. You hear the term familiar, and it's the wannabe vampires. Let's move on.
And so they're trying to transition to that whole, I want to be a vampire, I'll do anything. Well, that's what these black folks who are intermediaries are doing. They want to be white so that they'll sell out the greater good. Now, when we talk about these psyops, this is a real thing. And that's why we gave you the names of 3 cases where these people basically did that. They sat there and they either sold us out because they looked like us, or they sold us out because they didn't care about us. Like I said, Richard Aoki, Gloria Steinem, but Malcolm X didn't do it. Malcolm X turned down the money. He would not do it. And $6 million is a lot of money even in today's terms. So you must understand that when we talk about this video being a psyop, like, was this put out for partying, or was this put out to brainwash our people?
Or to create more derision, more separation.
More derision, yeah. And then, of course, when you add the LGBTQ, that adds more derision also. That confuses people even more. Because if you speak up against them, then you seem like you're against gay people. You're anti-Semitic. You're homophobic. I'm not homophobic. I'm not scared of anything. Michael Rappaport just said the same thing about Nas X. He said, I'm not homophobic. Nas X music is garbage. he goes on a 7-minute rant. Like, how am I homophobic? Phobia means fear.
But that's the thing, though. See, he's doing all that shit for shock and awe. Like, okay, you got this video called Call Me By Your Name, and which is the name of a gay movie, Nas X song. It's also the name of a movie called Call Me By Your Name, which is about a pedophile having a relationship with this underage guy. So, in this video, this dude is twerking on the devil. If you are, if you are really trying to get attention, instead of just like having the devil, it could have been like just a regular guy. This motherfucker makes it the devil. So not only are you thirsty for attention, you're going for the shock and awe, and you want to be controversial.
He talks about it. It's about a controversy, but he talks about it. He said, "Look," he said, "I'm making fun of the devil. I'm insulting the devil. We don't like this nigga."
No. He's trying to fix that shit up. You can't fix that up.
Yeah. He's trying to be funny, but the fact is this: he's already put out. He said, "Look, I'm done with my gay stage. I'm going back to my cowboy stage." So that's the question: is he really gay or not? Don't care. No,
bro. You kiss a nigga on stage. You tell kissing niggas on stage, nigga, you gay. It's like, look, it's like Dave Chappelle said. It's like, you gay, nigga, you gay.
Yeah, no. That's not where I'm going with it. No. What I'm saying is that in this day and age, gay is about one thing only, about the actual sexual act, penetration, blah, blah, blah. So if you're not doing that, technically you're not gay, but that's not where I'm going with the situation. What I'm saying is that easy for somebody to sit here and infiltrate a culture just to get money? And these motherfuckers ain't even offended by that. If he's truly not a homosexual, he's simply doing this for likes. He's simply doing this for money. Shouldn't you be offended? If how is that any different from a white person in blackface? This is
the same thing.
Blackface. This is sexual blackface. If he truly is not a homosexual and he did all those things, how is that any different from a white person putting on blackface and like, yeah, step and fetch it. Oh, there, yeah. But again, we're talking about familiars. We're talking about people that infiltrate the culture to do harm to the actual people of the culture. And that's what this is about.
They are doing the bidding of darkness, whether they realize it or not.
If you accidentally shoot me, am I still not shot? Do you dig what I'm saying? Oh, he doesn't know any better. She doesn't know any better. They just want, it doesn't matter if you know better or not. If you shoot me by accident, I still bleed. So intent is not. Intent has nothing to do with a motherfucker hurt.
Only the facts.
You understand?
Only the facts matter.
Yeah. Look. If you ever get on Facebook, there's always these single black women, or you get on these groups. They're always asking, "Why do men do this? If you just won't sex, just be honest. Why do you mess with a good woman?" And so I interject myself, and I'll either say something profound and fuck with them, but I'm like, "You have a good woman at home. Why don't you do this?" I'm like, "Well, maybe he doesn't have a good pussy at home." And then they just go nuts.
Dude,
I'm like, yeah.
Do you really think you about to change lives with a fucking Facebook post? Stop that shit, man. You're not going to change anybody.
I have to disagree with you on Roscoe because I've had several women hit me in my DMs that, hey, please explain this to me, and I'll break it down to them. I said, look, here's what you're not looking about. I'm not blaming the victim, but yes, a man can be honest. See, I grew up with honesty. I was an honest pimp. I could tell a bitch what I was going to do, and they let me do it. But these young guys don't know any better. They think they have to lie, number one. But you're saying just be honest, but it doesn't matter if you're honest or not. The damage is done. It's about the damage that this man is doing to this woman. If he's using her, look, and I tell women that you shouldn't let your need or desire for sex outweigh your good sense and your actual self-worth. That's what it is. And so nobody wants to admit that sex is on a level of it makes me feel good, makes me feel better about myself, I feel attractive, this, that. And this motherfucker is still shitting on you, taking your car, picking up other women, fucking people in your car, and you want to be with him? Nah, nigga, get out of here. So, yeah, he's wrong for what he's doing. And there's one chick that said, you're a narcissist. I'm like, okay, that's the new word now. I've always known about narcissism. But you got people that love to throw it out. So let me ask you a question. If I'm a narcissist, how does that affect you? Me being a narcissist, which I'm not. But the fact is this, you're trying to be deep. You're trying to use a word that you're using out of context. Whether me being a narcissist or not.
That's that stupid smart shit that we've been talking about.
We always, you're trying to say something, but you're really not saying anything. So if somebody's a narcissist, it doesn't affect you. But if you allow it to affect you. Now, if you're talking about narcissistic parents who are abusive that's some fucked up shit because as a child, you can't defend yourself. But as an adult, if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, it's because you choose to be. So you can't be mad about the damage. You're damaging yourself. It's relationship suicide. It's going to tear you apart. What we're trying to point out when it comes to this familiar thing is that there are literally videos and there are literally pamphlets, literally examples of a psyop. There are examples of the FBI infiltrate the Black Panther Party. Whenever you talk to these old Panthers, they tell you, we didn't have enough money to put out pamphlets like that. We might have put out one or two. Most of those pamphlets were part of that, was that COINTELPRO, whatever?
COINTELPRO.
COINTELPRO. That was the FBI put that shit out.
All right.
So we unknowingly, the FBI unknowingly helped the Black Panthers because they were like, we couldn't afford to put that much information out. The FBI was doing it.
Check it out.
The problem was it worked.
All right.
It's another case of Fast and Furious.
Yes.
Fast and Furious was
the
a
guns
thing that went down. Yeah. You see, my brother knows. It started with the guns. It started under
Obama.
Bush.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Started under Obama, but no. It actually started under. Well, you're right. Started under Obama. They had put some guns on the border, and they were like, look, don't. If somebody buys these guns, let us know because we think cartels are buying guns from America. It wasn't happening. So when it finally happens, you have this pawn shop owner like, hey, he calls the FBI. I got some cartel guys trying to buy these weapons from me. What should I do? They said, go ahead and let them do it. We'll track the weapons. Yeah, they track the weapons until they kill the Border Patrol person. So what the point is that you're actually trying to do law enforcement, but you end up doing yourself a disservice and hurting your own people.
Okay.
On the flip
All right.
side of this,
All right. Flip side. Look, man. So we mentioned the 5 types of spies: inward, converted, doomed, surviving. So the local spy is very interesting because a local spy is a person that is close to that area, but they don't really have a tremendous amount of experience. But
informant.
they're pretty much an informant, like you say. But the thing about a local spy is that they can be turned and coerced for the most simplest things. So if the people where the enemy is residing do not like the enemy, then it should be easy to persuade bold individuals. I'll say that again. It should be easy to persuade bold individuals. What are we talking about here? Especially those who have been wronged to spy for you. This is the best type of local spy. If the local people are suffering hardship, then rewards of money or food may make it worth them taking risks for you. Worst is to I'll repeat that again. If the local people are suffering hardship, then rewards of money or food may make it worth them taking risks for you. So these people are sellouts. They will sell out. Those are the first types of people that will turn. And worse is to coerce them into spying for you, for example, by threatening to expose them. Now, A good spy, if you can turn him or her, is one who is trusted and who works within the enemy forces. Best of all is when they have access to plans and can overhear important discussions. Many people working in wars are co opted into their position. Administrators, especially, are not natural warriors and may represent being held under strict command. Inward spies may be gained by simple payment, or better, their simmering resentment may be amplified so that they can decide to side with you. This can be especially powerful if they believe you will win the war, so persuade them as such. So we talked about these black revolutionary movements, and we talked about how this music video had bold statements, bold visuals, bold individuals, and these people are selling out for money. They're willing to do all this stuff for money. And when you see, hindsight is 2020. So these people that are willing to do this now, these I will bet $100 million that these people are going to these Hollywood and music industry parties, and they're going into the back rooms where they're having the ceremonies and they're doing the dark deeds, practicing the dark arts.
Look, there are other examples of this. One of them we also talked about off the air was they say the death of Whitney Houston was a sacrifice. And there's an example, whether these people know it or not. If you go on YouTube, you'll find a bunch of videos from about 10, 15 years ago, however long ago it was, and they're talking about, hey, this means that, this means that. Well, one of the things was Monica and Brandy did a video together. And in this video, there's a scene where Brandy is in the bathtub and she's partially exposed and her hand is hanging out. That's the actual death pose of Whitney Houston. She's imitating her death. So when you see this and you realize the imagery is actually a reenactment of her death, that right there is some kind of worship shit. That's some satanic, crazy shit that they're doing a ceremony in front of you. They talked about the same thing with Nicki Minaj and the MTV Music Awards. That was like, I guess, the night before, night after she died. Remember, Whitney was at some party. That right there was the ceremony, and then Whitney was sacrificed afterwards or whatever. It's crazy. But the point we're making about this video, when you see this imagery of this video, and we're not going to tell you what it is, you just figure it out on your own. It's a lot of women laying around in weird positions. You know, you don't even see that many men, and that's when it hits you. This is a ceremony. This is some reenactment shit. This is not about twerking. This ain't about popping pussy. This ain't about titties in your face. You know, it looks like that because of the name and everything else, but what it truly is and what it really means is completely different. And this is what we mean by familiar. This person, whoever shot this video, or the girl or the guy, rapper, who is getting edification from it because this is pushing their name further up, they may not know that they ain't shit. They may not know that they're spies. But still, you're doing the spy, and you're still doing the bidding of these dark people. And a lot of these videos, and even some of these movies, they're ceremonies. They're actual ceremonies in front of us. So again, be careful when your kids are repeating stuff off of TV or chanting stuff that's part of a song hook, because they could actually be saying a fucking spell or a curse upon themselves or something else. You just don't know. And we're talking about the different spies. My brother's breaking down what they are, but an example, you remember the Wire. Remember when old boy, he wouldn't snitch, but they gave him a Big Mac and he walked out happy, and the other guy saw him walking out. See, all it took was a Big Mac, and now that guy that's the manipulation. You can be, when you're broke, you can be manipulated. That's why it's so important to keep black people broke, because then you're so worried about day-to-day struggle that you'll never effectively affect your own freedom. That's what happens. Well, we're fighting amongst, it's crabs in a bucket. Yeah, it's crabs in a bucket, but who bought the bucket? You know what I'm saying? So you got to recognize that all this shit is a hustle. These familiars are among us. If you see them, point them out. But if you see them, don't get wrapped up in this shit. I've seen enough naked videos and naked women to know that this was something different, and I couldn't sit through it. And this is just one of many things when we talk about how we've been infiltrated. We always talk about Jesse Jackson. We always talk about Al Sharpton. Those are the obvious ones. The ladies that started Black Lives Matter. Yeah, they all got rich off the black struggle, but didn't make the black struggle any better. If they did, it was by accident, purely by accident. When you listen to Steve Coakley, he says that Jesse is the one that had King killed. That Jesse was in on the murder of King because he was supposed to fill that void. You know, King was really doing shit, and King later on, when you do your research, King became more and more like Malcolm X because King put out books that even admitted, hey, this nonviolent thing, it was not good for my people. Nonviolence did not work. You're dealing with a violent person, nonviolent. You know what I'm saying? So when you see this and you realize, and don't get me wrong, you know, I got problems with a lot of these boule niggas. Those are spies in our community. They're the ones that report to the king because boule is a French word. And you got to understand that you got these niggas who think that they're more worried about being part of a secret society than being part of the actual society they were born into. That's the shit that we're dealing with.
You also have people that are there just to muddy the waters. You also have people that are there just to cause confusion and derision. There was a video that you sent me. You said, have a look at this. And it was a conversation amongst a couple guys, and there were 3 of them that were active in the music industry. And there was a rapper there, and he was in a barber chair. And he was talking about how they make attempts to recruit these rappers and musicians into these sexual blood sacrifice parties, these sexual magic parties. And he said it starts with the stylist trying to fill you up and see if you're receptive to that, or they attempt to have you wear clothes that are the polar opposite of your style. It speaks to what Dave Chappelle said when he was on one of his shows. I don't think it was it may not have been the Chappelle show, but they brought a dress to him and they asked him if he would wear it. And he said, fuck no. All of that is an attempt. It goes, see, that what Dave Chappelle said and what that rapper said is that they test you. They test you to see if you're willing to play ball. And this rapper went on to talk about how there are these sex parties, these gay sex parties in the music industry. And sometimes people are drugged or they put a Mickey in their drink to get them vulnerable, commit these acts on them, videotape it, and then show them when it's time to sign a contract. And they use it as blackmail leverage. So wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm not done. So really what these people are that are doing these things, they worship the dark arts. That is no secret. If you don't understand that, there's something wrong with you. The crazy part about this conversation is there was a guy who was not in the music industry, who was just some street dude, found it hard to believe that this is going on. But ignorance is bliss. And either this guy truly did not know, or he was there for the sake of derision and to cause confusion. And people like that exist because when you start speaking up about things, they're the first naysayer to be like, no, that ain't true, without any legitimate counter argument.
No. It's deeper than that. What it is that he has 2 points of view. Either he's on the outside trying to get in, like, hey, man, I'll do anything to get a contract, or he's a fan of some of these different rappers. He's like, nah, man, he wouldn't do the Fugazi. He wouldn't do the banana in the
But you just all you did is just support both of my points I just made.
Yeah, oh, no, I agree with you. I didn't disagree. There wasn't an argument. That was the fact that and so people are that desperate for success. And look, they do this shit for a reason, because then once you get out there, then you'll push out whatever message you want. They talk. Remember, they used to talk about Jimi Hendrix and B.B. King. They used to talk about Hendrix said he'll sign any contract. He would sign any contract. Literally, I'm supposed to be here in 3 different places at once. He couldn't possibly do it. He just took the money. He was like, look, I grew up broke. Same thing with B.B. King. They complained about him because he would literally do so many shows, and he would do commercials for anybody. Kind of, oh, man, they're selling out the blues. He's like, shit, I grew up broke. These people offer me money to play my guitar for 36 seconds and say I use Ben Gay. Fuck it. And so that same mentality is what co-ops the movement, whether it's music movement or black people movement or whatever. It's the fact that you kept us poor for so long, and that it takes us a little bit of money for somebody to sell out their whole fucking culture. What we're saying is that these videos are fucking straight up satanic worship videos, and they're putting the shit in your face, and you're grooving to the music, and you're saying this hook where you might be fucking saying the guy.
Look, man, it's crystal dildo at the full moon, sex magic. Okay, it's sex magic. That's what it is. It's sex magic of the darkest kind. All right, it's Baphomet. Look up what Baphomet is. It's the goat-headed deity with the horns and the breasts and the male genitalia. Yeah, it's a transgender evil deity. Look it the fuck up. It's real. And people worship this stuff. They commit sacrifices and they cast spells in honor of that. It's real. Sex magic is a real thing. See, in most spells, to cast the most powerful spells, you need three types of things. You need blood of a willing or unwilling person. You need sexual fluid, or you need saliva. Because at some point in the future, they're going to figure out that when people were casting spells, they were using the DNA of something, or a person, or of a living creature to activate dark matter, to manifest something into reality. You see, on a quantum level, they're going to figure this shit out. But here they are creating these quantum computers, and the evil minds behind these quantum computers talk about they want to bring back the old gods. They're not talking about Zeus and the Clash of the Titans, none of that shit. They're talking about supreme darkness. That's what these people pray to. So you have to look at the long game, and you have to look at what is beyond all of this. Because if you are driving around in your car around the city, around the countryside, and you're only focused on the first 10 feet in front of you, or just the traffic light coming up ahead, you're not looking further down the road, and you don't see that traffic accident, or you don't see that fucking refrigerator in the road. So you won't see that refrigerator or that metallic fender that's in the road, or that bumper that's in the road. I think that's going to fuck your car up and maybe cause you to go off the road because you're not paying attention, or you don't see it until it comes up on you because you're not using foresight. You're not using discernment. And so here we are. We spent the first 40 minutes presenting the problem to you and talk about what the problem is. Well, naturally, as we do on this show, we always present the problem. And so now we have to speak on the solutions, because here you are, you're presented with an enemy that is inside your home, that is inside the heads of your family members, that is inside the blood of people closest to you. I'm talking about vaccines. This all-encompassing darkness wants to swallow up all of the light. And the only way to fight darkness is with more light. What happens when you walk into a dark room and you flick the lights on? Darkness runs to the corners and hides in shadows.
The roaches run too.
Yes.
Look, you got to recognize that these people know full well what they're doing, the people above them. And sometimes the people who are affecting it on you know too, sometimes they don't. But like I told you, accidentally shot is still shot. If they're co-opting a movement, it's so bad that when anybody talks about starting your own business and doing your own thing, oh, you a sellout, you a conservative. Like, no, I'm just talking about not paying all these extra taxes because we ain't getting shit for them anyway. Whenever you try to have those conversations, And you got Kanye who was talking about this. Here's my opinion about Kanye. This is going to drive some. I think he jumps back and forth. I think literally he is a person who is either dark or light. I think he worships Lucifer one album, he worships Jesus the next album. I literally think this man runs back and forth. Because if you look at his albums and look at some of the things he says, I'll give you an example. There's a song, that song, Beautiful Morning. What is that song about? It's a dope-ass beat. Beautiful Morning. It's about Lucifer. Yeah. Who's the Beautiful Morning? So, if you pay attention, he has a history of jumping back and forth. And I'm just like, is he doing that on purpose, or is that just the battle within him? That once he saw what his music industry was about, he goes against what he was raised, but then the success it gave him, the family that he's allowed to have. So that's how they get you. But I told you this. I just talked with my daughter a long time ago. You know this to be true. I said, decide now what you're willing to do for something. Decide when you're broke and down, because you're going up this mountain of success. And as you go up there, you encounter some things, and I just ain't willing to do them. I made my mind up a long time ago. I have no problem with nobody being gay, but the problem with the whole gay thing and the black thing, how many of enslaved people were forced into sexual acts that they did not want? How many of these guys were raped by the overseer or raped by the master? And so that's why in the Caribbean, that homosexual thing is complicated, because there are many of them that, they'll kill you about calling somebody gay. But then you have legitimate gay men who can't express themselves. That's some dichotomy shit. But the bottom line is this: sexuality was forced on many of our people. Where do you think the missionary position came from? Yeah, the missionaries that went over there to save these wretches were having sex with the women. That's why it's called the missionary position. It's fucking offensive. So whenever we have a problem with the gay thing, it's not because I have a problem with gay people. I have a problem with it being mixed into our struggle.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Willie Lynch came to Jamestown in 1712, and he gave his speech where he talked about how the different ways to break these Africans and to separate them psychologically. And that was one of the ways that they didn't discuss that was in that paper, because they were doing that in the Caribbean.
Yeah, there's a documentary out now called Buck Breaking, and people laugh and chuckle. It's not funny, but the fact that was one way to break a buck. If you have this 6'4" African, 200, 300 pounds, and you can't get him to mind, then you get a bunch of guys to strap him to the ground and you rape him in front of his entire family. So now, here's the crazy part. The guy raping him doesn't even consider himself gay, because gay that wasn't a thing back then. But that tells you that this is about power. This is about dynamic. This is a power dynamic. Even when I love watching serial killer movies and watching investigation, discovery, and all that kind of shit. But they sit there and tell you, when somebody rape is an act of power. It's not about sex. It's not a sexual act. It's a physical sexual act. But it's about somebody affecting power over you. And how many of these times have these women stood up against the guy and all of a sudden his dick wouldn't work, when they were like, "Oh, you ain't got me, nigga," or how many? Because it was about vulnerability. It was about him being in power and being able to control the situation. But as soon as she turned the tables on him, all of a sudden his wee-wee doesn't work. That tells you that power is more important than anything else when it comes to individual. But what about when it comes to that white dominant male society? It's the same thing. What about when it comes to these evil ass people who are fucking Luciferians and Satanists and all, worship Baal and all these other things? Like, yeah, they know that we have the masses who are poor, but we need their blood, we need their worship, we need their adoration. So we'll create this a person that'll get that for us. Excuse me. And so we're telling you that some of these videos, we're telling you, like I said, that video with Whitney Houston was about her death. Why would you do that? That you can't. Did Brandy know what she was doing? Maybe she didn't. But it still is still conjuring up some evil ass shit. You dig?
Look,
whether
man,
you know it or not.
The reason why black people love Tupac and still love Tupac 20 years after he died, 25 years after 26 years after he died, black people still love Tupac because since then there has not been anybody like him. And the reason why Pac is so beloved is because he represented a not just a black revolutionary, but a street guy. He recognized
He was all the above.
he
every black man.
recognized that these dudes in these like conscious hip hop groups were not connecting with the other half of the street. So they were connecting with people who were locked up who wanted to be conscious, but they weren't connecting with the people who were still committing crimes, and they wanted to live above the law. So what Pac was, he bridged those two worlds together. He brought criminals and the taxpayer and black people together. And so in this way, Tupac was like a black Robin Hood. And if he were alive today, or if he were still making music today, he would still be speaking on all this darkness that we're talking about now. And there were hints of it in his music. He would talk about it. But
It's
that's why
complicated, 'cause
the
I
reason
got my
why
opinion
but
about
the
some
reason
of that
why he is so beloved is because he represented the fight against oppression, straight up and down. And there's always been this divide between, well, who you like, Tupac or Biggie. Biggie was cool. Biggie had like lyrical skill that was undisputable, but he did not have the love that Tupac had. And
too.
so,
Yeah, complicated.
and still to this day, no, he don't
No,
because
no.
no. He didn't. And it's not complicated because there's more women that like Tupac than they like Biggie, and it's not because of the way he looks. It's
Yes, it
because
was.
Biggie.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't. It's because Biggie was more like he was more focused on money. He was more
No,
focused. Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
no. Okay.
Biggie. No, 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 no. Wait, 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 wait,
Have the
wait.
whole conversation.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Biggie was more focused on money and more focused on like he was more of a guy than he was about bitches. Pac was more of a ladies' man. Okay,
Okay. See, no, you can't get away with that one. Okay.
dude,
Here's the problem.
it's indisputable. It's indisputable.
No, it's very disputable. Let's have. Okay, who had more women, Pac or Biggie? Biggie had more women than Pac. And everybody knows. In fact, that was part of the jealousy between Pac and Biggie. Because you forget.
No, man, the jealousy was that Tupac fucked Faith. But listen, we're getting off point here.
No,
We're getting off point.
that's not it. What it was Biggie didn't write down his rhymes. Biggie could make a rhyme without writing. Pac had to physically write it down.
Yeah.
Pac was jealous of Biggie.
No, but hold on, no. You're saying the fact that you're saying that Tupac couldn't freestyle. That's complete bullshit.
No, that's not it. Biggie could do a whole rhyme in his head and never had to write shit down. Look it up.
Yeah.
Pac actually talks about it.
Right. But see, the point I'm making is that Biggie was not on anything revolutionary. The only thing he would bullshit. Don't do that. Don't do that, nigga.
No, say it.
Hold up.
Hold
up.
He made that decision years ago. He said, "Look, I was never into that." He said, "People don't want to hear that shit. The same shit that was it Flip Wilson." He said,
again, you're missing my point because what Biggie failed to do is what Pac did, and Tupac united the criminals and the taxpaying black people. He united both of those. Biggie did not do that.
Here's the point.
Biggie did not do that.
Here's the point. Biggie made the decision. He's like, look, people don't want to hear that kind of shit. And Pac was like, yeah, they need to hear both. Pac came out of the Oakland thing. He's like, okay, Pac, he's not from the West Coast. He's from Maryland area. But when he got out there, he saw that Black Panthers influenced that nigga. His stepfather, Mutulu Shakur, influenced that nigga. So he had different influence. But here's my issue. The reason that Pac is so special and even Biggie's so special, we ain't had another. It's like the Malcolm X,
Martin Luther King
argument. So,
See, but Malcolm X was clearly Tupac in this situation.
I wasn't going there. Wasn't going there.
But look, but listen. But hold on. Let's tie this into this conversation.
No, I was about to.
All right, okay, but the way you do that is by saying both them niggas are dead. Both them niggas are dead because
I was getting there.
they were fucking assassinated by familiars. Hello. These motherfuckers were infiltrated. Both of their movements were infiltrated. No, nigga, I'm not. Oh, you better jump in the van. The door's open, nigga. Come on, we going. Listen, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Them niggas was assassinated. Whoa. Stay with me. These niggas were assassinated by people that were close to them, by people that were part of the Nation of Islam, by people who were also being controlled by Suge Knight, by people who were also controlled part of the police department in L.A. Ramparts. If you watch the movie Who Killed Biggie, Ramparts was death row. All of this shit was infiltration. And it goes, and it goes back to everything I was saying, because I'm tying this all together. It goes back to everything I was saying about the different types of spies. And you had each of these different types of spies in the music industry, in Tupac's clique, and in Biggie's clique, and in the police department.
You're missing one. So Biggie was killed by the police. David Mack, who was a cop.
In a blood.
In a blood. You got to remember, the LAPD was infiltrated by Bloods, but hold it. Who killed Pac? See, you're missing the Pac thing. You said Suge. Pay attention. Suge ain't the one who killed Pac. There was somebody else that killed Pac, and nobody wants to say it. No. Only niggas from LA will have this conversation with you. They'll tell you what Pac was alive. His mom pulled the plug. Pac's mom is the one that you need to look up. Pac's mom. Afeni Shakur, she was always dissing Pac. Y'all just don't know it. Even so, the person that probably killed Pac wasn't that Orlando Jones. He did shoot Pac, but they're saying that his mom pulled the plug on that nigga way too soon.
That sounds like disinformation. Because no, there's no way you can prove that.
Okay, I know what you're saying. But there's some behavior that has
hold on. Well, all that's deflection, man. That's deflection. That sounds like something that was cooked up at the last moment to try and get the police attention away, the heat off of fucking Suge Knight. Look, man. Suge Knight was a piece of shit. Don't.
Whoa. Suge Knight is 100% a piece of shit. But Orlando Jones is the one who did the shooting, and Suge Knight did know Orlando Jones because Orlando was a Crip from Compton, and Suge was a Blood from Compton. He knew them niggas. He did know that they went to Keefe D explains that they went to grade school.
Look, man, it don't matter what flag them niggas was flying, okay? Because all that's irrelevant. Because as I just stated, with the 5 different types of spy that can be turned or infiltrated, okay, none of that matters. It doesn't. That allegiance is not blind. They're not 100% faithful to any of these, man, because what happened during the truce in L.A., ask any L.A. person that really knows street shit, is that it was Bloods that were death row that would go and do drive-bys in Crip neighborhoods to trying to get shit going again. The reason why is because the brass in the LAPD came to them and said, hey, this is fucking with our budget. We get a subsidized budget every year.
Hold it.
Wait, no. Here's the thing. They get a subsidized budget every year. The LAPD is the most heavily funded police department in the United States.
Government money.
They get MRAP vehicles from that are no longer being used by the U.S. Army from Afghanistan and Iraq. They get armaments from the U.S. military. But when you don't have a war to fight, then your budget is cut. The same thing happens here in the United States with the government. Whenever there's a Democratic president, the war budget is cut. Whenever there's a Republican president, the war budget is increased. The same goes with police departments and their funding. If crime goes down, and if crime is going down, then they're going to lose that money. And you better bet your sweet ass that some of that money is going into the pockets of the police brass in these departments. So therefore, when this funding was going down and these corrupt ass cops that's controlling all these weapons and funding that's coming from the federal government, They sent some thug ass niggas to go and do drive-bys and try and start shit in areas that are peaceful. And so what happened was it was that the heads of these groups, the local area gang groups, was like they would go and talk to each other like, bruh, did you ride on us? And they're like, no, that wasn't us, man. That was the cops.
Hey, hold it. This is true. You must understand that when you act a fool, they make money off you acting a fool. When there's no crime, when Bloods and Crips was hand in hand, these motherfuckers that knew each other, and they was not shit. They're like, look, that's not us. They literally, the LAPD lost a shitload of money. LA County lost a shitload of federal money. So they had to go back and start a problem. This is true. What I'm simply saying, what we're all telling you is that these spies could be your closest family member. You know, sometimes we forget that some of these people are failed actors and actresses. So sometimes you forget that. Have you ever looked at an IMDb and you couldn't believe like a motherfucker had been acting since they were 8 years old? And then that's when you realize that motherfucker right there probably is a familiar. When you look at this nigga who's a hardcore gangster, Tracy Merrill, for instance, and you look and you look at his IMDb and he's been acting since he was 7, 8 years old. Like, huh? I thought you was this crazy ass Crip gang member doing all this wild shit. When you realize there's certain people, when you look at their IMDb, so we've always talked about how these pedophiles get out to people, and you said, was he compromised when he was a kid? You know what I'm saying? Half the motherfuckers in LA got film credits, and I'm not even talking about the ones on TV. I'm talking about the Crips. Like I got some Crip homeboys. Like, yeah, man, I've been in 3 movies. Like, for real? Like, yeah, guys. So what I'm saying is that shit infiltrates people like you wouldn't believe, and that shit infiltrates our movement. And once they get their hands on you, and we've talked about the one FBI, the brother, he like, yeah, man, he said, shit, I was in college, I got in trouble, and they offered me a way out. And he said, yeah, he said, spying, it ain't what you think. It's not these phones in the shoes and listening devices. It's infiltrating somebody in the movement who's starving, who's broke, or if you got a solid movement like the black movement, like, so they won't get, you got these black guys who won't give up, but then you get one of them that goes to jail, or you get a sellout nigga, a nigga who's already, somewhere up the social ladder. He gets in trouble for some drugs. Well, that motherfucker's willing to infiltrate the movement right there because he ain't used to jail life. These broke niggas, they've been in trouble. But this middle class nigga right here who ain't been in trouble, gets in a little bit of trouble in college, yeah, he'll infiltrate. They were killing brothers. They weren't just reporting on what's going on. And if you need an example, Malcolm X, that cop that was part of the NYPD that was there, he could have stopped Malcolm from getting killed. He didn't. When you find out the guy that killed Malcolm worked for the FBI at some point, because that death of Malcolm X, man, that gave me chills. The nigga that killed Malcolm X was still in Philly, living it up, living his best life as part of the Nation of Islam. Was cool with the one guy, Cory Booker. Cory Booker, of course, the senator, whatever, didn't know, but it just lets you know that you've told me some apprehensions about the Nation of Islam, and that shit just, like, God damn, Roscoe was right. But these familiars are everywhere. When you talk about the movement in Haiti, when the Haitians, when the first one was Mackandal, and the first things they did was they killed the white sympathizers, and that sounds so brutal. But that if this movement is going to flourish, we need to weed these motherfuckers out, whether it's the black movement or the good versus evil movement, because you got a lot of motherfuckers that don't know that are good people, but if you offer them money, they ain't good people no more.
Listen, over time, what needs to be developed is similar to what you see in that movie Dune, the original Dune. There's this thing called the weirding ray, where you can psychically detect weakness in a person that will turn, or a spy. So over time, people need to work on their intuition and their spidey senses and how to detect a disturbance in the force. And the way you do that is you look for 4 things. Mice. Look for mice. Money. Who is susceptible to being paid off? Who will take a fall? What kind of person is willing to take a dive for a paycheck? Who is the person that's always chasing the money and has no scruples whatsoever and no allegiance? Intrigue. Duct Tape just talked about how there is a person, the middle class person, who is so thirsty for real street life because they've grown up a sheltered life. Or people who they come from crazy parents and they were fed cortisol in the womb through these adrenaline dumps, and they're used to drama. That's intrigue. That's a person that wants to be caught up in drama.
That's crazy.
All the time.
Either they'll go either way. Either they'll go extreme, where they need the cortisol, or they're just the opposite. They just want peace at any cost.
So that's the M, and that's the I. All right?
Yeah.
C is the compromise. Who is a person that somebody might have dirt on? Who is a person that might be a low-key pedophile or might be low-key gay and don't want nobody to know about that shit? Who is the person that they have something on and will not speak out or is afraid to speak out? Ego. Who is the person that wants to be the center of attention? Who is the person that has to start some shit for the sake of shit starting? That is also ego. Who is the person that wants to or continuously sucks all the energy out of the room and makes it about them? Because they can be turned so long as you caress and massage that person's ego. Mice. Look for the mice. The mice will show you where the rat is. This is what we're talking about, the familiars. The familiars. The people that dabble and deal in darkness for the sake of personal gain. So, all we're saying is, like we always say, keep your eyes open. Use discernment.
Keep your head on a swivel.
And figure out which one of these motherfuckers is the piccolo player. Okay? Because the piccolo player is a motherfucker. So, be mindful, be vigilant, and always do the right thing. We out. Peace.
All about it.